Hello, everyone. This is Wilfred Pickett Jr. Hello, Will. Good to see you again. Um, where do we
Hello,
start, Will?
it's a pleasure to be here with you. We can start wherever you want.
Absolutely. This conversation that I would like to have with you is it's really what comes to our heart, what comes to our mind when we're talking. Obviously, you know that I've connected with you based on, I believe, the last O Connect that we had when I think you had some questions. But anyway, we'll come back to that in a little bit. Let's start by your name. So, Wilfred Pickett Jr., and then you also have an AKA Santana Goswami Dasa, or you can call it Sanatgi. So, what all that means? If you could please tell me what all that means, and how did you come up with the name of what you have today, also known as Sanatgi, and I hope I pronounce it correctly.
You have actually, Wilfred Pickett is my birth name that was given to me from my parents. Um, the name that is Sanatana is that some people pronounce it, they think it like Santana, but actually it's Sanatana. It's a Sanskrit. So Sanatana means eternal, and then it's Goswami. Goswami means master of passion or controller of one's senses, and Das means servant. So um, I was given that name by my spiritual mentor because for many years throughout my journey, I've started studying Vedic knowledge. And this process have come to the West back in 1965. Some people may know, some people may not know, but if you ever heard of the Hare Krishna people, the Hare Krishna movement, have you heard of that before?
I have.
Okay. Well, you're in California, so there's plenty of temples out there. This process came from India back in 1965 by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he was teaching yoga in the right sense and how to actually help us to connect with what we have forgotten, and that we all have a relationship with the Supreme Personality Godhead. So that's how I got the name, but not from him per se, but it was one of another mentor, you know, who I came under. I grew up basically, I was born in Washington, D.C. Um, I've actually done a lot of travel. I went to grade school and high school in Washington, D.C. Then I graduated from high school, then I went to college. And I went to college in North Carolina, and I studied business administration. And I was very, interested in business administration. So I studied at a college then in North Carolina. It was called Barber Scotia. And after that, then I left there. And then I came back to D.C. rather than stay in North Carolina. And I met a friend of mine who was also getting into business. And so I got with him, and he had I would say a boutique shop. And then we decided to start a restaurant. And at that time, it was a vegetarian restaurant. And then also at the same time, I was also instrumental in starting an incense business.
Hmm.
So
Did you say
I,
in incense business?
yeah, incense.
Oh,
Like you
okay.
burn
Yeah.
incense. Yeah. So we, we did pretty good. So I have been involved in many different business ventures. So but anyway, after starting the restaurant, um, that's when later on we got involved with, studying more about, yoga and um, also about the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga. And that's
Mm.
when the restaurant came in because we were vegetarians and we wanted others to also, become not try to convert them, but give them education about how you can live without having to um, eating flesh.
Mm.
Because actually, as humans, we are more herbivores than we are carnivores, and we don't have the physical makeup as carnivores does. Like we have canine teeth, but our canine are not meant for tearing into us flesh. It's meant for eating fruits and roots and what have you. So anyway, we had the restaurant, so we were educating people through the restaurant, and things just evolved from there. Then I just got more and more deeper into studying, the um, philosophy of Bhakti Yoga. And then at some time I you know doing while we were at the restaurant, that's where I met my wife,
Mm.
and she became, also she was also a vegetarian, and she also liked the yoga practice as well. So things started growing there, and then I started traveling, and I spent some time in living in India to further my studies. And so, anyway, as far as my childhood is concerned, my parents were very, I come from a very humble, we didn't have much. My father was a military person, so I guess you could say I'm what is a product of a what do you call military brat.
Right.
And
Right.
and so, but during that time, when I was young, my father did a lot of traveling, and anyone who knows has been experienced with living in a military family, you know that you're subject to be travel here and there whenever at whim. So that's what happened. So I spent some time in Texas. Then after some time in Texas, we went back to Washington. Then he got his orders to go to Germany. Then we went to Germany. We took a boat, not a boat, a ship, all the way to Germany. That was a real heavy experience because I never, well, I experienced, seasick, and it's not a really good experience. But anyway, he went there. So he did about 2 or 3 years there in Germany. Then after we left, after his time in Germany, we came back to the States. And that's when I, started going to elementary school, junior high school, and everything from Washington D.C. So anyway, I spent a lot of time in D.C. and then I became a a manager of one of the yoga centers in our organization, and I was told to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and to try to get help out there and um, help out with the yoga center there, which I did. And I spent about 2 or 3 years in Cleveland, and then Then after that, then I went to California, studied some time in California.
It seems like you're growing up, doing a lot of things as you're growing up. How is it
Yeah.
like for you to, as a child, adjusting to different environment or different places that you visited?
Um,
Was it hard for you?
the only hard part came was when I would have friends that childhood friends,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, you know, temporarily, but I really didn't, put any thought to it, really. You know, uh, the one thing that was pretty prominent was the fact that I was the out of seven, I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest out of seven
Yeah,
children. How
yeah.
many boys and how many girls?
Well, my father had a basketball squad, which was five boys and two girls.
Really cool, you know.
No, no, no. There's a lot of similarities,
Mhm.
with the Asian culture, because one of the things that I've learned is that here in especially here in the Western countries, especially here in the United States, um, United States per se doesn't really have a culture.
Mhm.
The culture comes to the
Mm.
United States. So basically, myself, we didn't really have any culture. We just came in and we just had to
Really
adjust.
adapt to what's already existing.
Exactly, exactly. So as far as me making the adjustments, I try to make the adjustments to the best as I could, because one of the things is that I was the oldest. So by being the oldest, it's not the for me. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was fair, because
Lots of responsibilities.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's the thing that I even told my mother that I kind of like really had I was, well, how you say, I regretted the fact, because I never got a chance to really to do the things that I wanted to do when I was small, because I was always um, put in a position of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
always about other people, other brothers and sisters before it comes to your turn to take care of yourself. Usually.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But the flip side is that it has helped me a lot in life,
Mm.
because I accept the responsibility. I don't run away from it. So I accept it, and to adjust myself to it, and then move on. So when it comes to hard work or anything that comes responsible, I seem to rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Because you had the experience, you dealt with difficulties solving, I guess, your brothers and sisters' issues as a oldest brother, right? So how is it? Was it? How do your parents manage to have seven? How what are the ages in between your brother and sister?
Okay, um, I'm the oldest, and okay, my younger sister, so I mean, she was like 3 years behind me. Then I had another brother. He was like 2 years behind her.
Ah,
Then my third sister was behind my brother. Then my second brother was behind my sister, the youngest sister, and those two were born in Germany.
right.
And then the other two younger siblings were born in here in America.
Right, right.
So
Roughly about 1 to 3 years apart for
yeah,
each.
yeah,
Yeah,
roughly
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I really kind of like I thought my mother thought it was she felt really embarrassed. So when she was having another child, I just looked at because when you were young, it didn't take me long to figure out sometimes people would say, well, babies come from stalks and what have you. They fly and they drop the baby and what have you. I figured that out real quick.
Yeah.
And I went and asked her and I said, are you having another child? And the reason why I asked her that is because that means, oh, so that means more responsibility that I have to deal with,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I said, it's like it's getting it's becoming frustrating.
Mm,
So fast forward, before I graduated from high school, I kind of had enough, and I decided that I wanted to go and live with my mother's brother. And I
mm,
lived with him, and I finished my high school years living with my uncle, in which he was very instrumental in helping me to get some kind of direction in life as to which way I want to go.
right.
So he asked, he said, well, so what are you going to do? Are you going to go, at that time, I was thinking that maybe I want to go into the military. I want to do what my father did. But he told me, he said, no, you don't want to do that. You should go to college. So that's
Mm.
what I did, to college. And then after that, and then, things just started, developing
So
from there.
would you say that your uncle was an instrumental adult in your life after high
Yeah.
school?
He was like a big brother to me.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
didn't, being the oldest, I didn't have a big brother.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to
Right.
look up to someone, and I'm glad you have your uncle there. So you went to college and you got your bachelor's degree in business administration, but however, you really from then on. So when did you start your yoga? When did you kind of go in that journey? Because I understand what you're saying is you have been practicing yoga for, is it over 30 years you said?
Almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years. Wow.
Yeah.
But particularly, you were in, and I've never heard this, so you got to explain it to me. Is it Vedic art and
Vedic,
science?
Vedic.
Vedic,
Veda, yeah.
yeah,
Vedic, V,
VDIC, art and
yeah,
science.
VDIC. Vedic knowledge just means, Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means the king of knowledge.
Hmm.
So the philosophy that we're studying has been around for, you know, years. It's not something new. So it's been around for a long time, and it's even been around before before Christ.
Hmm.
So it's not something that was just manufactured. It's been around for thousands of years.
Wow.
So I actually started getting more involved in that and back in 1979. That's when I started.
Wow.
So I started in 1979, and that's when the restaurant came in, and that's when my journey really started with Vedic, the Vedic philosophy,
Hmm.
and to to the present, I'm still involved.
Wow.
But in the between times, I've done other things as well. Like I think I shared with you that I study also martial arts. That's one of
Yeah.
my things. My father was a boxer, and I used to box, but I didn't like his style of fighting. So I was very attracted to martial arts because I really felt that to me, it felt really natural.
Right.
And so I studied with one of my instructors. His name was Freddie McShann. And that was back in 1979 as well. But what happened, no, I started back in 1979, and then I didn't go back until later in 1980,
Mm,
83, because I took off because I wanted to get more into the philosophical side of the Vedic science. But then I got back into studying martial arts, and I'm still practicing it today. Not for I was studying not for the sake of just trying to hurt people or defend myself. More or less to I know that as time goes on, that I needed to somehow or another slower the aging process, and
mm.
I knew that martial arts could do that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I started doing that. And to this day, I'm still doing it. And now, I have two nephews that I'm training now in martial arts. and
Very interesting. Very interesting. I
yeah,
know
and
that you are, go ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I know that you are also went to school of massage.
Yeah,
Is that for healing?
yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really gonna. I wasn't really gonna. Didn't really want to get into massage, but um, some of my friends were telling me that maybe that's something that I should do because I always was very gifted with my hands, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to massage and do pressure, was it acupressure?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I used to do acupressure, like that. And but what happened was it was just a fluke. I went to this orientation, and I found, I filled out the application. I just felt that, oh, well, they're not going to accept me anyway. So, I'll just do it. But they did. And so I started studying it. And so the interesting thing was the instructor asked what and why did we choose to become a massage therapist? And so I said, well, I've been studying martial arts all my life. So I know how to break bones and what have you. So now I want to learn how to mend them,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So one of my colleagues in the class, he looked at me and said, what, break bones? What kind of person are you, But we became really good friends. And
Right.
so to this day, I still do a little bit of it. My real forte is working with reflexology
Mm,
because reflexology, all your all your upper extremities are in your feet. This is
right.
why if you ever go home, what is your first thing you're going to do when you get home?
Take off your shoes and rest your feet.
Exactly, exactly. So when you go and get a massage, everyone thinks about the upper extremities, but all the organs and everything are down at your feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was able to really, I would, if I was to do, and this is not, I'm not joking or I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but if I had your feet,
Hmm.
you would be out in 3 minutes.
Wow.
That's how relaxed. And then when it's over, you wouldn't know that I had, that the session was as long as it was.
Yes,
So
yes. It's kind of interesting though, because every time when I go and get a massage, for example, they can massage everywhere, but when it comes to my feet, They massage the feet, and that is the time when I usually fall asleep, because all the, I guess the pressures are really under there. That's very interesting. So everything that that I have heard from what you share with me, doing yoga, doing all of these, is really toward healing. And I bet you, I mean, the way that you are looking right now, you're pretty healthy individual.
Yeah, I'm 71.
Oh, 71. Oh my gosh. Well, I was going to ask you that, but it seems like everything that you are doing is really around that realm of helping people also to stay healthy, which is really cool. Really
Yeah,
cool. So, we both connected through OnPassive. I don't know if you on Facebook, but I received one of your email a few weeks ago, and I agreed to do an O Connect with you. It was very pleasant to meet you and your wife as well. And I suggested with you. I said, "Oh, very, I love the connections that we had. Why don't you come on?" And you were hesitating, but you said sure. And before this conversation or before this recording, you say that I brought you out of the closet. So tell me about that.
well, again, I'm not one that really wants to be in the limelight.
Mhm.
I just like to try to work behind the scenes more or less. I don't get, I'm not infatuated trying to be, Mr. Big Stuff or, what have you. You know, um, I'm happy where I'm at, you
Mhm.
know. So one thing I wanted to say to you is this that this le- the first email that I connected with you wasn't with this email here. I've connected with you many times. You just probably don't remember. I've been following your journey since I've been a part of this company for almost 4.5 years now.
Half years.
And I connected with you and what's her name, Susie,
Mm.
because there were some things that I was back then when we had the Go Founders and everyone was bringing up this whole person, well, this whole thing of when are we going to launch? How soon is it? Why is it taking so? And unfortunately, I did some posts. I put some posts out there. Whether they saw it, I don't know. But one of the things that I mentioned was that they don't understand the process. First of all, I'm not an IT person, but I do work on computers, and I know how um, the software works.
Mhm.
This is something that it's not something that you can just put down and then, you can figure it out in a few minutes. It's not like that. It takes time. Sometimes if I'm working on my computer, my wife, she would tell me, why don't you go to bed? Because, I won't stop until I finish it. Well, where I'm going with this is that I came to you on many occasions and asked you about certain, situations about, how to migrate over to the Go Founders, and from Go Founders to the
There's
O
open.
Founders, what have you. So you and Susie were very helpful, and I reached out to Marty, a couple of times, but now Marty has gotten so, he's I know his emails is just flooded, and it's like I kind of got lost.
Mhm.
So, and to be honest with you, if I may say this, when I came to on passive, it was by by a divine arrangement because no one actually brought me in.
Mhm.
What happened was I was affiliated with some other multi-level scheme that wasn't really happening, and
Right.
it had to do with crypto.
Mm.
So anyway, I was trying to find, like we see now, leads. So I'm looking for leads, and somehow or another, this site kept coming up and saying something about, it kept saying something like, it said on passive, but I thought it was saying own.
Own, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is okay. This got to be some kind of new age something that I don't want a part of. But it kept coming up, kept coming up. So anyway, I decided I'm going to check it out. This time I'm going to check it out, and I looked at it, and I got on there, and believe it or not, Charles Osong was giving a webinar, and so I listened to it. And then not only that, Charles Osong lived in the same area that I lived in, and we were practically like neighbors, and I didn't know it at the time.
Wow.
But the difference is that I'm not no longer there because I used to live in the DC area, but now I'm living in Florida. So now I never, even to this day, never have made any contact with Charles. But from what I saw, from what Charles had said, it made sense to me. And I said, this is something I got to do.
Mm.
And I just did it. I went on there and I just found a link, and I just signed right up,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and that was it. I didn't go. I didn't, and the sponsor I have, I don't know who this person is to this
Right.
day. I don't know who he is,
Wow.
but but I was convinced of this process. And then after watching you and your journey, because I've seen, you had a journey as well, all of you, and then now I see how you settled and starting to expand and grow and help uh, some of us early birds now to also be able to get out and share our experience.
Right.
So
But
anyway,
I love the fact that you said there is some sort of divine intervention that lead you into unpassive, and it is so true. I resonate with that, is because a lot of us, this is my belief, is that unpassive to it's a calling for everyone. I mean, obviously, on passive, it's not a religious platform. It is a platform for everyone. But in my belief, that on passive, to me, is a calling, and many people can get called, but not many are chosen. And when you're talking about what I just said, people tend to think religiously, but I think it's in everything. You get called to something, and then you really don't understand and then you just give up, right? But with on passive, for me, it seems like you get called into on passive, and then you get chosen. And it's not that the word chosen isn't religious in a way, but for me, it's kind of chosen in a way where the divine intervention help you to understand what you're going into, um,
hmm
to it. So I think there are so many people, there's so many of us really truly understand what on passive is, and you are one of them because you felt that intervention when you're coming into on passive.
well, I really appreciate that, Julie. But one thing I really want to say is, especially from the heart, is that the our CEO, Mr. Ash Mufareh, when the day that before we start the uh, founders, he said, he came out on a webinar. He says, "Look, he says this thing is much bigger than I am." He says, "This is my calling." He said, "This is got, this is coming from, a divine arrangement." He says, "There's no way possible that things gonna happen in the way that they're happening." And when he said it like that, like you just said, it resonated with me. I said, "Okay, I know this is it. I don't need to look any further. I don't need to go anywhere, because I see." what is going on. The only thing that kind of like make me, a little agitated at times is when some of us are a little impatient because you don't understand the process. And the reason why you don't understand the process is because you're not involved. You know, to get something, you got to, okay, if you want to get some money from the, let's say you put some money in the bank. Okay, you put your money in the bank. Depending on how much you put in there, as far as you're going to draw interest, how much interest you're going to be able to earn. The more you put in, the more you can earn.
You
But
earn.
if you don't put nothing in there, you're not going to get anything. So nothing for nothing leaves nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, you're
So
absolutely right.
right.
Yeah, if you don't put
So in the case
in,
of our
you don't
CEO,
if you don't put in your effort, there's nothing come out. If you don't put things in the universe, there's nothing coming back to you. Or even if you
exactly.
put in the negative, if you didn't put in the negative stuff, narrative stuff coming out, it's really common sense to me. But absolutely, our CEO have mentioned about that, and our CEO continue to mention that about the divine intervention. And he said no one can can change, or no one can crush on passive, even God. So it's very interesting. So how has that journey been for you? Do you are you enjoying the journey, first of all?
First of all, I'm loving every minute of it because unfortunately I can't get people to see what I see.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I don't know how to explain it, but I can see it. And I think what is happening, many of us are spending the money before we make it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they already think they have earned it. But first and foremost, we don't realize what we have. First and foremost, because I know you yourself, you've been an entrepreneur and you understand business as well.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, we don't have to worry about no insurance. We don't have to worry about licenses. We don't have to worry about getting lawyer fees. We don't have to worry about. Only thing we have to worry about is getting the product, and the product is the least that we should have to worry about. Because guess what? We don't have to worry about trying to sell it, because all
Exactly.
that's going to be done for us. So all you have to do is just get involved and stay involved and stay and basically that's it. But we can't. Some of us can't even do that.
Yeah.
So then you want to know. So what's going to happen when this thing blows up? I guarantee you. I guarantee you. You already know your line of connection is going to be flooded.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do now? How can I? Well, what must I do? Oh, I haven't migrated yet. Because take this time now to start getting yourself together. Because guess what? This is your business. You have to be responsible for your business, which means that you have to have your own bookkeeper. You have to have your own. You're going to pay your own taxes. You have to get your own bank account. All these things. Unpassive's not going to do that for you. So now is the time for you started setting these things up. You know, putting these things into play, and then as we start to unfold to go to the public, it won't be such you scratching your head and figuring out which way you're going to go. That's
Exactly.
just that's just where I'm coming from.
Absolutely, you absolutely right. And as time and time, if we're really looking back, our CEO have already said we do whatever we can to give you an opportunity to be the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm so glad that you get it. But I believe that a lot of people come into something with an expectation. They expected, or they come with an entire entitlement attitude, you know And what are you entitled to? You only spent less than 900 less than $100. What are you expecting to? So you got to come into whether or not any kind of business, any relationships, to my belief that you got to come in with an open minded to learn.
Well, I just want to say this. In actuality, if you activated your account, those who were able to do it in the beginning, all you spent was $143.
Yeah.
Those who came afterward, those of us who spent the 140 only spent 93.
Yeah.
So when you really look at it, we haven't really spent anything. And look what we have for that kind of, I mean, that old founder's account with the speaker, just looking at the back, that right there is like a website. Can you imagine what that would cost on a regular basis just to keep it going?
Thousands, thousands, thousands. I mean, what, 10,000 people in a webinar? It costs over 8,000. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
a month, a month. But what have we spent? Anyway,
Nothing.
the values of what we have received so far are so much. So I take that you really enjoy the journey of on passive. You shared that, and I know that there are a lot of things in the past few weeks. Mr. Ashmofara say that you have to really be independent. So I know that you are doing a lot involving with health and wellness and yoga. How do you see what you're doing today in your life? How do you see yourself taking that and plug in on passive technologies, on passive tools and services? How do you envision that for yourself?
Well, I see it as a platform to um, educate people, number one. Number two, if you are looking for a way to be able to better your financial situation, this is a process or a platform that can help you if you are willing to do X, Y, and Z. If not, if you just come in and you just want to just, let the company just do it, you can do that too. But if you want to speed up the process, then there are certain things that you can do. But
Will you
if
be will you be holding a yoga conference, yoga classes? Will you be doing taking your expertise using
I would,
on-passive
I would
products? And
like what I'm doing right now. I have people right now, and I just tell them, I just share with them about ONPASSIVE. I have a new technique, and my technique is that I take my computer, my laptop, and I show them my back office. I show them a lot. All I have to do is show them a video,
yeah,
a short video. And if
yes,
they say, all I got to do is say, oh yeah, I like it. I say, okay, then I sign them up right there
right,
on the spot. And
right.
then, I started educating them, did them more and more because they begin to see how it's valuable. And I tell you one thing, people are fascinated by old male and old trim. On that, not so much because it's still in the work in progress. But I have to tell you, Old Connect is nothing like it. I'm missing it right now. I miss it. You
I
know,
know you
you,
do.
you,
We're
you
all
see,
missing it. We're all
yeah,
missing it. I actually have a neighbor here. She does, I think she call humana trauma type of healing, right? She's not a founder. She's not a user of OnPassive product. And she came to me and talked with me about what she does. You know what my suggestion to her is, and I don't know if this is something that you wanted to do too, is to create the content of what you are specialized in. For example, you practice, is it Bhakti
Bhakti yoga.
yoga? Bhakti
Mhm.
yoga, you kind of put a little, a minute video, two video introducing the yoga. You create that content, right? Even though if you can upload on YouTube right now, but when it comes to on passive with Academy, you could make that as your educational materials as well. So that's what I suggest to her. I said, she just got divorced. She needed some things to do. So that's what I suggested to her. Just do video, create content. And when you have all those content, obviously you can do it now by uploading on YouTube, but you can take those content and put it in your own net, put it in your academy when it comes out. You actually can use all of that, and instead of telling people to sign up and join your team or whatever, you use what you're best at, and you use what you are good at, the content that you create. You invite them in for yoga particularly, and once they come in to join you on a yoga sessions or videos or content that you made, they are automatically joining you into what you're doing in on passive as well. And so, think about that if that's what you haven't done so.
Um, yeah, I've done so, but quite a few people I have come in contact with, they ask me a question: what is it that they see there's something, there's a little bit of different about me, and then I more or less just try to find out where they at and how much they want to know, and then
Mm,
I'll, as much as they are willing to hear, I am willing to share.
mm-hmm,
And basically, that's how it's been going for me.
mm,
And for me, I'm just being natural. Just,
right,
as, who is it? As Marty and even as, I'm just being natural myself. I'm not
right.
trying to do, put any airs or anything. I'm just being um,
Being who
natural
you
about it.
are,
Yeah.
being who you are.
And
Yeah,
most of the time, people, they're going to come because it's something about you that they like, and
right,
they trust you. That's the
right,
first thing. If they trust you,
right.
it doesn't care. They don't care because they
Absolutely.
feel that okay, you're not going to do anything to hurt me. And
Exactly.
this is one of the problems we have in society now. Too many people have been burnt and misused and abused, so they don't want to take that chance of going through that anymore. So it's really hard. And this is one thing that I really like about Passive, and it's because of it's the way, actually, this is what our CEO asked himself. He established himself as who he is, and he's a humanitarian from the heart,
Right.
and that's why they are in love with him, because he's not trying to abuse anybody.
Right.
And this is why this thing is growing in the way it is. And this is
Exactly.
also why he has a lot of opposition, because people don't like what he's doing.
Right.
I knew that from the beginning. I said, no, this is not going to be as easy as we think it is, because they don't, you know, there's a there's a forces out there that look, but no, saying no. I'm opening up the field and leveling it for everyone who wants to be involved, and rightly so. I mean, if you want it, it's here. But as Red said today, unpassive is for everybody, but it's not everybody wants it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's all I have.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. What are your dreams, Wilfred?
Well, my dream is that I want to. My dream is to have. I want to be able. I want to build a facility where people can come and experience what I'm experiencing from uh, the Vedic point of view.
Mhm.
And I want to be able to share that. And also, they will be able to get everything else that's included in it, be it economic, spiritual, health, all of that is intertwined together. So
Mm.
that's my that's my goal. My goal is that now. That's why me personally, I have more than one account because I want to get there a lot quicker.
Mhm.
And I don't. My only my only dilemma, not so much a dilemma,
Mhm.
but is this: I don't know how much more time I got left here on this planet. Okay, listen, I don't
You
know.
got
It's going to be.
plenty.
I'm
I
honest
believe
about
you got
it.
plenty. I
You
believe
know.
you got plenty is because you have been all your life has been, 50 years of being in yoga, being in that healing part. For me, yoga is healing, right? And so I
Yeah.
believe you got plenty.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but the reality is that we don't know when death it can come at any moment. But my dream, to be honest with you, my dream is to see this going so that when it does, I can see it. Then I can just comfortably say, okay, now leave it to the next generation to keep it going. That's it.
Right.
That's where
Yes.
I'm. That's that's me in a nutshell. That's it. That's my whole life. I'm sticking to it.
Right. I love it. So this is kind of funny question, but when you start earning when you start earning um, money from unpassive, what would be the first thing you buy?
The first thing I do is
Even
pay off. I'll
small
pay off
or
all my.
little?
No, I'll just pay off all my debts. I want to be debt free. Period. Then after that,
Beautiful.
then I can start going and start helping, and finding people who have who are serious about doing starting businesses or doing something. If they're serious about it, then yeah, I would help them. Like the same way like Ash is doing with Obless.
Mhm.
We're not we're not a welfare company, but you have a hand, we'll help you up. But once we get you up, then you have to take it from there.
Mhm.
That's
Absolutely.
that's how I see it.
Thank you
And I
so
like
much, Bill.
in closing, I like to say that again, I appreciate you for taking the time and to tolerate me jumping all over the place. But I really appreciate what you're doing, and I just encourage you to keep doing it because it is something that is needed, and there are certain um, personalities that are out there that you can resonate with. Not all of us going to be resonate with so many other people out there, but you've been given that task, so Um, one thing I could be wrong, but I I feel I could be wrong, but I don't think I think at some point because the CEO had mentioned it himself that big number that we have, I think at some point it's going to level off because that's just me. I could be wrong, but we just have to see.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt, though. So, I really appreciate your time being here with me. Like I tell everyone, um, everyone's has a story. A lot of people said, "Oh, my story is boring." It's not boring. It may boring to you, but when you are putting yourself out, when you share your story to people, a lot of people resonate with you, and so absolutely, I'm glad you're doing this, and I'm glad you're here. today we are recording with the background because of the way you talk. You move back and forth. So yeah, if you have any pictures that you like to share on what you're doing, please feel free to send it over, and I'll put this together for you. I really appreciate you, Will, and looking forward to be meeting in person sooner or later. And I know you're in Florida. What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Gainesville. I actually met. We went down and we met Chris.
Oh, that's awesome. So you met Chris Johnson already.
We met Chris Johnson, Ron,
Beautiful.
and is it Rob Lynn? We met both of them.
Right.
Manu, we met Manu as well. You know,
That's so awesome. Oh, I'm
yeah.
glad. I'm glad to see you today, and I'm glad you come out of closet.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you having me.
Yes. Anything else you like to
No,
let us know
um,
before we wrap this up?
no, no,
Beautiful.
you're a great inspiration, and keep up the.
I appreciate that very much. Very kind of you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That was Wilfred Pickett. Take care, everyone.
Bye.